Can you see any of the qualities that you recognized in Lurleen Burns back then that still show up in her life now?
There definitely. I think the real qualities of life that Lurleen is showing now, that of just being a genuinely good person, was very evident in her life here at County High. And I also think that her courage and convictions, which are so strong now, were just as strong as a student when she was here. Mm-hmm. She really amazes me sometimes as the things that she can really undertake and see through. She's such a little person, but she's capable of doing big things.
Mm-hmm. You described Lurleen as a rather reserved person. Did it surprise you when she got out on the campaign trail and started running for governor?
Yes, I was somewhat surprised. Though after she was on the trail, I felt that she was going to be successful. Every time I heard her speak, she became better and better in her delivery and so forth. And she just seemed to go out to the people, and the people were just drawn to her. And I think that was that very deep warmth that she has always had as a student, and now as the governor, and also as a mother.
Home with her up to my home. She lives past where I live, and I have walked several times to and from school with her.
What type of a person was she then?
She was the quiet type, always a friendly type. She didn't push herself on anybody. She wasn't a snobbish type. She always treated everybody just alike, even though if she wasn't their buddy friends or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Did she have many friends?
Had a lot of friends. Everybody that knew her liked her, and of course she had some very close friends, which are still here in Tuscaloosa now. But I think she had all the friends that she wanted her to take care of.
Mm-hmm. After Lurleen Wallace ran for governor and came back to Tuscaloosa, did she seem like the same type of person that she was back in the days that you remember?
Oh yeah, when she was running for governor, she came back, and of course her headquarters was set up down here, and one of her good friends that she had in school, Bobby Davis, and Bobby came and talked to me and said she wanted all of her friends, you know, to come down and meet her. She was going to be there at a certain time, and I think quite a few of them went. I don't know how many did go, because I went down, but I didn't stay very long.
Did she seem like the same type person you remember?
Same type, too. Same type. Always smiling. Seemed to be knowing where she was going and what she wanted to do. That's the way she always was.
You say that she was a person with very deep feelings. What do you mean by this?
Well, she always felt that when she gave her word, she must keep it. And anything that really was a part of her, she must do well. She just felt that when she had a responsibility, it was her job to see it through, and she usually did it.
Mm-hmm. Did she have many friends here in high school?
She had, I guess, more than the average person would have, but she was not as outgoing a person as a lot of people, and therefore her friends were rather limited. Now, she had plenty of friends, and she was liked.
Mm-hmm. What type of student was she in your class?
An average student.
Mm-hmm. Would you say Lurleen Burns was one of the students that you enjoyed teaching?
Oh, yes, I enjoyed Lurleen. I enjoy all of my students, but I did enjoy Lurleen. There was something that I always felt that I wanted to help Lurleen. She seemed to have those qualities that were so good, and yet she was reserved enough not to put herself out, and you always wanted to go help her.
Mr. Gibson, how was it that you knew both George Wallace and Lurleen Burns?
Well, I had met George. He liked to dive, and I was lifeguard at the swimming pool in Queen City Park. Well, of course, I met Lurleen through my sisters. They worked together at a 10-cent store. in downtown Tuscaloosa.
George was a university student.
That's right. Lurleen, I think, was either in high school or just got out of high school. She went to County High. And she worked part-time at S.H. Crest in Tuscaloosa. And I met her through my sister. They worked together there.
What kind of girl would you describe Lurleen Burns as in those days right after she finished high school and began to work?
Well, she was a mighty pretty little girl. She was real popular, had a wonderful personality. And I'd say she was a real sweet girl.
What did you know of George Wallace in those days?
Well, I knew that he was a politician probably when the first time I met him, although because he never met a stranger and had an awful good knack of remembering names. And he liked to dive and liked to swim. And he was real popular around the campus.
How did it happen that you introduced George and Lurleen?
Well, we met downtown for lunch, George and I happened to go by and see my sister, and so George seen Lurleen working, and he wanted to be introduced to her, so I introduced him, and I think maybe he carried her to lunch the same day. I'm not sure. But they started dating, and that's one of those things where love takes over.
Would you describe it as a kind of a love at first sight situation?
Well, it could have been. Of course, you can't ever tell. Young people, sometimes it takes a little longer.
Have you kept up with the Wallaces since they moved away from Tuscaloosa and went to Clayton and later to Montgomery?
I kept up with them by the clippings in the paper, and then I've seen them on various occasions. And, of course, after he run for governor, I supported him, and all my friends and family supported him. And, of course, we did her the same way. I'm very proud. I mean, it's one of the high points of my life that I was the one that brought the wonderful pair together.
I am happy today to offer the voters of Alabama the opportunity of enjoying continued progress, prosperity, and honest, efficient government, which has been so much in evidence during the administration of my husband. The overwhelming support of his administration by the people indicates that they want and demand a continuation of the policies and practices he has inaugurated and conducted. The people of Alabama are proud of our state. Millions of Americans are proud of Alabama and her place of leadership in the fight for the preservation of freedom and the Constitution of the United States of America. I want to provide the people of Alabama an opportunity to reaffirm their support for the principles of free enterprise and local government and for the principles of honest and integrity in government.
She was very kind, rather reserved, always sweet, gentle, and thoughtful of other people. She was a very good girl.
because they see they're gone, because they are gone. We're going to save that $1 million and use it for the schools and the old people. Of course, there's a lot of organizing for the next administration that we will. State government is large and complex in every state, and every governor has to have advisors. Whether my wife is elected or anyone else is elected, they must have advisors. And if my wife is elected governor of the state, we are frank and honest to say that I shall be by her side and shall make the policy decisions affecting the next administration.
While I'm humbled by the wonderful response you have given me, I am at the same time grateful to be able to be the instrument whereby you, the people of Alabama, have an opportunity to express yourselves on the record compiled by the Wallace administration. My husband and I are proud of Alabama. We want to see our state continue on the upswing. And now may I present to you the man who will be my #1 assistant, my husband and your governor, George C. Wallace.
That'll make them feel any better. That's what they think. If you think it's worth anything to you to elect my wife and let me stay in that place of prestige to carry on not only domestic matters as we've done it, but also to carry on this Alabama movement, we'll do so. If you don't, it's in your hands, and whatever you say, we will thank you for having let us serve as long as you have. I want to say again, we're very grateful to the people.
This is an historic occasion, not by any reason of the element of uniqueness, but by reason of the meaning underlying my election. This meaning can be illustrated in part, I believe, by the truth in an old saying. I recall from childhood that in the spring my mother used to say, "Out of old woods cometh new flowers from year to year." My election, this occasion, has its roots in the soil of time-honored institutions of self-government and the historic principles upon which they are founded. One of the first things I shall ask the legislature to enact are measures which will enable us to continue the greatest road-building program we have ever undertaken. In the interest of national defense, industrial expansion, continued economic development, the public safety and convenience, all these considerations demand it. If there is any change in my administration, it will not be a change of policy or priorities, but rather one of attitude toward our programs. It will be an attitude reflecting an inner feeling of a wife and a mother. I believe earnestly that the family is the vital unit of society, and that no nation may remain strong unless it is founded on enduring family relationships as the source of its strength. For this reason, as a wife and mother, as well as your governor, I shall be inclined to examine programs of each of our departments from the standpoint of the healthful conditions of our economy and the prospect for continued progress leads us to look forward with confidence to increased state revenues from which we can provide better health services and more adequate care for the aged, sick, mentally ill, blind, handicapped, and tubercular patients. I want to thank you for the interest so many of you have expressed to me in continuing and expanding these programs. I look forward with great pleasure to working with you in this common cause during the next 4 years. During the regular session, I am asking for additional legislation to carry out the plans for the construction of community mental health centers and also for the construction of regional mental retardation centers. We are also going to study ways and means to eliminate the overcrowded conditions which exist at Bryce, Searcy, and Partlow. We must, if necessary, invoke the police power of this state. I ask you, in the event a stay is not granted or an appeal be unsuccessful, to consider placing in the governor of the state of Alabama or in the governor and the legislature all powers heretofore vested by the Alabama legislature in the state superintendent of education, including but not limited to supervisory control with regard to our various local boards of education. I also ask you to issue, as an exercise of the police power of this state, a cease and desist order to be delivered to and served upon the 3 federal judges who have issued this unfounded decree. Covered and will provide a basis for continued industrial growth in the state of Alabama. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Governor Law.
And self-support, they encourage and even subsidize those who prefer to have their livelihood handed to them.
Best wishes, Governor.
Thank you very much.
Lord bless you, Governor Wallace. We're praying for you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Hi, good to see you this morning. How are you? Good to see you. Hello, hi. Thank you. Thank you so much. You sure can. Thank you. Appreciate it.
You hurry back to see us.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you very much. Be back in 2 weeks.
Good. Do it.
Thank you.
Our prayer. You hurry back, sweetheart.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Wish you better.
Wish you good.
Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You'll be all right. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
You believe in miracles?
Yes, ma'am, and prayer too, and I'm real grateful for all of these that are going with me, and I know that.
We are
Thank
with
you.
you.
Thank
Sure
you.
they are.
I plan to be back in 2 weeks.
Good luck. Get our makeup kits from the patrol car.
And got tied up in the filibuster. And frankly, I think some of the filibuster was really about that bill. I would think that one of the important things we passed in the last session with your help, well, I mean, you passed it, was our competitive bid program for city, county, and school boards. But I think the legislature ought to, the council ought to study the proposal that we submitted in the last session and see if you might give it impetus in passing in whatever time the next legislature convenes.
Glad to have you back. Thank you. It's good to be back, too.
Thank you very much.
Good to be back.
Play one right over here, Joe.
To the people of Alabama, may I say thank you for your prayers, your beautiful flowers, your telephone calls, your cards, your letters, your many expressions of good wishes. This encouragement was a great support for me during my stay in Houston. I'm gaining my strength back each day, feeling real good, and expect to resume my normal schedule in the just near future. Thank you very much.
I'll see you later. I'll call you. No.
Well, please. I did fly out in the state plane and came back commercially. But all my expenses while in California were borne by us personally. As I said in California, my first duty is to the people of Alabama. We're making sure that matters of government here at home are being handled expeditiously, and we will continue to make sure that matters of state government are not neglected. I may go back to California during December for a short period, but no definite plans have been made at this time.
All of us were quite pleased with what the operation actually did reveal and could not really be more satisfied with the findings. What she weighs now? No, sir, I don't really know what she weighs. I believe it's about 77 or 80 pounds, maybe 82.
Barring any unforeseen development, you got any plans on what your next statement will be?
I would classify her condition at the present time as serious, as any person would be this
length after a major operation. I wouldn't say it was critical. We are pleased with the progress she's made and the improvements she's made since the operation yesterday.
Physicians attending Governor Lurleen B. Wallace continue to be satisfied, and her spirits are good. Intravenous feeding continues. Her physicians say she is responding as they would expect at this stage of the recovery. Anything further than just what I gave you, Dean.